Well, I've been asleep today. I think it comes from frustration to a certain extent. I have to be honest about what goes on in my psychology sometimes. Man, we so tired of dealing with this Amy Wyrick lady out of Shelby County. We don't quite know what to do. She's one of the most vindictive human beings the world has ever seen. I saw where Harvard used that same quote, and you would never think that a person can actually fulfill these words in their behaviors, especially toward others. But Miss Wyrick has fulfilled that and some with me and against me and the missus. We were cyber gang stalked out of Shelby County by this same lady. It was April 14th of 2024. Cyber gang stalked us here. We immediately up with the signs because we had learned how. I had kind of been seeing them panhandling down there on Poplar at Cleveland. Is this brother? He panhandles. I was using drugs with him. Now, I didn't never use it with him, but he was using drugs and I was using them too. I'm not one to, as I'm doing videos, to act like I've been just this squeaky clean guy. Drugs, I believe, somewhere in my being, I believe the drugs kept me sane with this all-out assault that Amy Wyrick has put down on me. Over the 30-some years that she was the DA, assistant DA from 91 up until 2022. She was the head DA from 2011 on up. I think they recommended her July of 2011. I think is when she was recommended by Bill Haslam. I think he was our then governor. Again, man, I'm a person of color, it's obvious. And I never would have thought that I would have been a target of vicious racist people. Criminals, not just racists. It's not a crime against being a racist. The crime comes in when you steal people's lives and seek to murder them if they go towards their own life. Now that creates a crime, heinous crime, both state and federal, because you have to stalk them across state lines. You have to go all out. So when Harvard wrote that piece on Ms. Wyrick, I was just now beginning to research her. And come to find out, they may have left out a few things with her. They didn't go into that pedophilia. They didn't go into the child abductions and all of that she participates in. You know how I know she does that? Because she stalks too well. She has phone setups in every city you go in. You think you're going to T-Mobile, Ms. Wyrick and them got her people sitting right there looking at you. They're getting the official documents. You go into Regis Bank. You think you getting her bank account, Ms. Wyrick and her people. You go into all this grocery store in the per se where you at. You look up Ms. Wyrick's people walking around with their earpieces. Got her people walking through there just thousands of dollars worth of groceries just going out the door. Shaded criminals. Think it's obvious these people criminals. I'm looking right at them. When I first showed up in town, they had their hair with the bald headed right here, but they got it hanging down their back. I look up once Miss Wyrick get them those earpieces and they get to making a little money. Now they got their bald head trying to change. They've been going into the banks. Been a lot of bank fraud and fraud going on in the credit unions here where we are. Wherever we go, this type of stuff pops off. My job was seized from Kroger in Knoxville, Tennessee. That was August 24th of 2017. Well, Kroger never removed my name off their roster. They had me working in Nashville somehow, and I was there in Knoxville. Scored so high I didn't miss a question. They have onboarding tasks now. Kroger. People like Kroger and Walmart, they hire the disabled, mentally challenged people. I have nothing against that, but don't put me up against a mentally challenged person because there's nothing mentally challenged about me. So you looking to take my exemplary onboarding task scores and you looking to take my life, my identity. That's my life. So these people in this city, they had their way with me and baby. I try to keep my wife in, but due to the kidnappings I've had to endure, the 3 kidnappings here, I try to have my wife right there with me as a witness, really. As we flying the signs, I really try to take on most of the load on that. I really like, but then sometimes you deal with people in our society, they don't really want to give to a male. They'd rather give to the female. I told my wife that the other day. And all of it don't be based on moral output. Some of it is degeneracy. Some of these ladies, they feel like they don't have nothing for no man. They trying to sweetheart with the ladies. I had to tell one lady that here in this city would come up, and I'm looking at her all the time, but she would just be blowing and waving her hand at my wife. My wife told me one day she gave her a sandwich or something, but I'm looking at this lady stalking. Both for Miss Wyrick, and if she can get something going with my wife, she would have tried to do it. So I had to tell her, hey, don't keep coming past here waving at my wife. You know, we don't need that. Basically, we don't need that. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. We don't need that. And since that time, I noticed she come down through there. She'll kind of go over in the other lane. She'll come over in the lane where we are at, but we don't have no more problems like that. I mean, it's a shame, man, the depths of these people who are placed in these positions due to nepotism and cronyism. Not due to no astuteness about themselves. Just nepotism and cronyism has dominated America. Look like we're going toward total collapse with the mind of the people in the society, coupled with all the wars and rumors of wars that we have going right now. Look like this thing is collapsing in on us, man. And I really didn't. Who wants to be at the end of a dispensation on the earth plane? Well, all the treachery we hear about that goes on during those times. So I've been in the bed today. I went in, I hit me about 50 something, really more than that, because as I hit my shots both down and away from and back up to where I'm hitting them from, look like I'm hitting a few of them intensely where they're not meeting my mark, where I got to do a little chipping. So I hit about 75, 100 balls today. I can't complain. I really enjoy hitting that golf ball. And they left there, I hit some rockets. I didn't hit any over in the ditch today. They did some cutting on the grass where I hit the golf ball, and so I was able to kind of guide the ball into the areas where I can see it in the grass. I hooked 1 or 2 of them. Not badly, poorly. Not where I would have to if I was on the golf, if I was down at the Augusta, where I would have to point my club showing them where this ball is coming, y'all heads up. So I enjoyed that, man, but that took a lot out of me because I did a little video as I went to the field. I noticed that in the video, as I try to look at it, look like the people who are looking at it, the viewers per se, they must be getting it clear because it's almost 100 didn't hit it. But she's making it stop as I'm like she got this slow connection on my phone. She's a diabolical malfeasant. And I know she's not physically nowhere around, but she got used to Indian people. Then she have different ones in the rooms at various places. But hey, man, we sick of dealing with this degenerate, low-life entity. She's an enemy to humanity because she has no humaneness in her. I mean, just a vagabond, treacherous, low-life criminal. Her and her husband. So I rested, and I'm rejuvenated. Some told me to go live. I'm enjoying seeing my guy Deion Sanders. He in Carucci. I kind of get a gist of now why old Chris Brown was hollering Carucci's name. Carucci a real lady. My wife a real lady. I'm not trying. My wife is up. I said I don't be one, you know. Anyway, that Karuchi, she's the real deal. Her and Dion right there, brimming with joy. You see? And, you know, she's pretty, got a pretty face, got that little petite waist, and got them two bee stings. Right? So I had the pleasure of getting the image, and I shared it because I'm no hater, never was to entertain that. And I believe it is. Again, if this world don't end, I'm gonna be right there, man, getting it, man. I think I'm a kindred spirit with guys like Dion, Magic, Master P. Few more of them. We got the same kind of mentality. We believe it's gonna all work out for us, one way or another. We don't have to know and see how it's gonna all work out. We just believe it will. And that's what has kept me going over the years, man, with all out assault on my life. Been a multimillionaire since 94, but here we got wickedly wise people sitting there monitoring all the monies. Just imagine I'm out of Memphis, Tennessee, the largest body of people of color in the United States. So, you know, we've had, since Boss Crump, it's been a great deal of racism dominating the city of Memphis, Tennessee. Every now and then we'll have a rush of people of color, if you will, placed into elected officials. But don't look like it gets no better for the people there on the bottom. The base of these people. The ones they have to trick to get in there. Like the guy Parkinson, hey man, he's over there, he deals with something with the cosmetology. Well, I hadn't seen him do anything but put his hat on and jacket slacks with his Divine Nine affiliates. Surely I've come across on his radar with all this I've been forced to do to get the word out. Kidnappings, attempted murders, special aggravated identity theft, mail, wire fraud, targets, me and the missus. So we await justice there out of the Western District of Tennessee, Western District Court. And man, we just wondering why is justice so slow? But again, we don't run anything. And then, like I said, Miss Wiring them has had that money since the 94. So you know that they got their families and comrades and different ones all over the United States that had access to that money. And set up industries, everything, banks, everything, using my credentials. And my wife as well. And has gone all out to deny us access to that. I went in the bank the other day. I could tell something had went on in the bank. I'm fighting. So I get in the bank and it's a whole new bank now. The people who had been servicing me, they're no longer in the bank. But it look like the banks are kind of similar to Regis Salon's Empire Education Group. I'm seeing that same model. Before they would make the bank accountable, they'll just get rid of one or two of the people who were participating in the crimes against me and my wife. So I noticed that the people who last time I went in there, I was so disgusted. I think I took baby with me. No, I didn't. I went in there by myself that day. When I hit the door and came in, this Negro was standing at the counter looking back at me with his back to the counter. I noticed he had his cell phone in his hand though. Then he turned to the counter and put the cell phone on the counter, and he was telling them about he had a paper check. The young girl was at the counter who had asked me the first day I walked in there. This is a terrible question for bank tellers to ask someone standing in their line. Do you have a bank account here? Well, it seemed like you should know better than me whether I got a bank account here, and you should listen to me. Let the customer take the lead. You're being too aggressive. You're trying to be too slick. So when I looked up one day, I had came in that very bank. I won't call the bank's name. But when I looked up and seen all those people run out of those rooms on the side like that, I know that I must have a bank account in here, just like I had one at Regis Salons, BB&T Bank, SunTrust prior to those two banks merging. Bank of America, I had bank accounts. One or two of them I went to set them up, but Miss Wyrick has been able to get my vital information and seize control of any fiduciary powers that's rightfully mine. She seized our unemployment insurance there through the Workforce and Development. Again, she seized that money in July of 2020, cyber gang stalking the life out of us there in San Diego, California. And man refused to give it back. That money, what the Glenn Niles and them was passing out, that was my money. Talking about Negley, it was this lawyer and he was bribing me. No, that was full of shit. I know why I was supposed to have been abducted and apprehended in that dragnet with the 9 indicted 8/3/2021 there in Shelby County. Miss Wyrick, of course, her and Chris Kraft, they powerful in that criminal enterprise that Miss Wyrick is part and parcel of. We talking about domestic terrorists or do anything, especially against people of color. But Miss Wyrick is a direct cause of Elijah Fletcher being off the earth plane due to a vicious bigotry and racism and hatred for men, women, and children of color. She hates us. She'll get some of you token niggas and put them in position. Put you in position. That way when the treachery come by there, you a rubber stamp it. But other than that, Miss Wyrick didn't have no use for you. Now, she had some use for you if you was willing to get over into some of her sexual deviancy. Because she's a sexual deviant. And she ain't the only one. That's all Empire Education Group, and for the most part, it had to be the same with Hugh Sawyer and these type of people. Because ain't no way in the hell I'd have went that demonstration that Miss Wyrick presented to them, and I hadn't aced them. They hadn't had nobody to come through there and ace them ever. Of course, they had people working in the salons or what have you. That's because some kind of way Empire Education Group and Regis Salons were the biggest in the game. They could have you in there working in the salon with no certifications. They'll take somebody else's and give them to you. And not just in Regis. They did that at JCPenney InStyle Salon. I monitored that as my wife was in there working for over a year there and never had her on their roster. Sexual harassing or bullying her. This man flogging like he a woman in the daytime, and at night he's a man. Margie Chandler was the woman's name he used. But he had this man, woman there with him. What was her name? Sandy Myro. No, her name was, what was that lady name? Lick Your Jaw, Denise. Baby. Denise. What was that lady name? Lick Your Jaw up there at JCPenney? Sandy Bledsoe. I knew it was a Sandy. Stalked us. All the time they stalking us. Trying to maintain our lives and seize it eventually. So I didn't really want to get over into that. I wanted to go into, one day I had 3 videos that I was doing. Hold on a second. Yeah, I had 3 videos that I was doing, and I wanted to talk about the ego. I got this book on psychology. It's a dictionary, actually. I glanced at it the other day. I'm always trying to look into my mind and see where in the past, where I may have gone wrong. And, of course, trying to right the ship. And I'm going to be laboring to do that until there's no breath in me. I can't think of any better endeavor than to be sane and rational in my decisions. You know, we make decisions just to be happy. Happiness is a decision. I thought happiness, growing up all my life, I thought happiness depended on somebody else. My wife got to do this, and then or else I'm gonna be miserable. Hey man, my happiness is an inside out thing. So how I'm gonna give someone else responsibility of assuring that I'm happy? So I guess I used to do that. And that's why a great deal of my past was tied up into chemical dependency, because when people see what you're trying to do, they're gonna go against that, unfortunately. Some of those nourish you, especially when it's nothing beneficial to them. So I went into this ego, man. This ego got so many different spins and twists to it. So let's just read verbatim a couple of them, and then I'll see what the Spirit will bring forward in what we'll talk about in the dialogue. But I'm targeting this ego, which is another word for personality. So the ego is very much needed. I used to hear in AA how they would say the ego, an acronym or an analogy for ego would be to edge God out. But since that time, I've looked over into this ego thing, and it's more than that. Because without my ego, if a crime had just been committed against somebody or me or something in the society and the authorities came up, and I'm being a decent citizen, and I say, yeah, this person came right up and hit that lady and did her, like the gentleman I saw there in Shelby County, where Leslie Ballard's client had to cop for the 40-year with no parole. Back in the day now, when Amy Wyatt was in there, that guy would have got away. Because Amy Wyatt would take a payoff, and she'll find a way to drop the ball, remove some of the exculpatory evidence, whatever it took for the people who were paying into her game to their clients to walk. But he had to take the 40. You see. So the politics are shifting there under the Most Honorable Steve Mulroy. They hadn't shifted all the way. Still a lot of the old guard is there. They don't want to give that up because they had unlimited powers then. Under Chris Craft, Beasley, Daley, and these type of people, they had unlimited powers over the people's lives there in Shelby County. Really the uneducated people of color. When she kidnapped me out of San Diego in 2011, of course, anywhere I go, just like she did 8/22/2025 over in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, I helped a couple of guys to fill out 1983 Civil Rights Matters. Once they let me know that what had occurred to them, they describing a crime. But the system don't care that you are incompetent now. It really due to Mr. Trump said he's about to start back with the mental institutions. A lot of times, a great many of the inmates be mentally ill. They don't be criminals, per se. But of course, you got the criminally insane. But great many of these people just be drug addicts and being poor and can't afford a lawyer, and they got sellout lawyers in every jurisdiction. Like there in Shelby County, I saw where Kay Leslie Mazingo, she's the head public defender. Fighting with me, the one time I was, somehow Miss Wyatt placed over the matters that I had some little clothes out there in one of the apartment stores. She had to set me up to have me killed. But by the grace of God, I slipped out of the guy's chokehold. But he still locked me in the back there and had handcuffs on me when the police got there. The police didn't have the wherewithal to say, well, he did have the wherewithal because he was real cordial. Because my car was outside parked. And he allowed me to turn the car off and where I could call my wife and everything. At any rate, I ended up with Kay Leslie Mazingo. Miss Wyatt have the deck stacked on you from start to finish. I see where a brother there in Memphis is running for something. But he had been over pretrial for a number of years. So that may explain why my name was never called for pretrial on the little property crimes they would have me for, beer or something like that. Never did they call my name because Miss White had stole me for these millions of dollars in '94. Her under Bill Gibbons' watch. Of course, she didn't do that on her own. So, man, I tell you, since that time to now, I've been fighting to just have a decent experience called life. But I'm not complaining tonight. Sitting here looking at myself bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I had went on a streak here, man. They had to kidnap me 3 times, so you can imagine the pressures that put on me. So again, I had been smoking that weed, and I didn't even want nothing to eat. I was trying to conjure some assistance. And a lot of times, our forefathers, they used the marijuana to visit the spirits. And I believe that I was able to do the same thing. It got somewhat a little better for us here. It's not, I don't want to be here in this city or in this hotel, period. Been here too long. Over 600 days we've been in this one room. And that was prior to a kidnapping Labor Day 9/2/2024. Where we were in another hotel. Then we fled to Flagstaff. Pursued us there, Miss Wiring. Criminal enterprise. Maintaining this money. So we yet to be repaired tonight. Let me see if I can. How do you bring people on? Let me see. I'm trying to share it. Well, sure. You guys up tonight? If you're up, I want to see you. Come in here and see what I'm doing. Check on me. Even in this year, I must got a couple of you guys on here already. And so my life has just been one fight after another. Old Maurice Blake and my sister Venus Haynes Britton, they stole all the vital records out of the house, and they've been set their families up using my deceased brother and mother's and my wife's now Social Security numbers. Got mansions, cars, set the children up in Atlanta, Georgia. Negroes like Marvin Parrish been put up on the monies and just didn't have a great life at the expense of me. But I didn't write the script in regards to this thing called life. So I look in that Bible. I see people like Nebuchadnezzar and different ones where they had to go out in the field with the animals and their fingernails grew. I'm talking about kings. I get Napoleon comes down through my feed. I told on one video how the Rothschild dynasty really came into power there during the war at Waterloo. And one of the powerful Rothschilds, they had been at the top of what you would call Wall Street, the speculations. So they was watching them. They had a powerful courier service where they would get the news 2-3 weeks before you would get the news. And you was there. You may own the bank. You may own it. You may have been a powerful figure. But you couldn't get this information like they could, this intelligence. So during the battle there at Waterloo, Napoleon was an arrogant guy. He had to seize reins like he was the emperor. Of course, when I look and study these emperors in the history of America, of the history of the world, of course, America hadn't had an emperor, not to my knowledge. But there in England and Britain and France and all these places, you run into emperors. People who seize total control. The guy, King George, was it? The 8th? He got rid of the whole everybody because they said he couldn't marry somebody, Anne Boleyn or something. Comes down through the history in my psyche. So this Napoleon, during at the War of Waterloo, he must have ran on the wrong side of the Rothschilds. Of course, they was financing both sides of the war. So the people was watching him at the stock market. So he knew that they had him under surveillance like that. So we hear of the plays, we hear of Othello, what's that, Macbeth and different things through, is that William Shakespeare? So we hear of these plays that has been, of course, the plays comes down to humanity through the ancient mysteries. Out of commit. So he played a play on them. He knew who was going to win the war because he was the financer of the war. So in order for me to win a war, all I would have to do is make sure that these people's arms way outweighed those arms of this other side, so I know who's going to win the war. But if I control the media, then I'll tell you anything I want you to hear. Errol Barnett hand-fed him the game on the mind control, on the propaganda. So now we get a lot of propaganda, but it's delivered by nice, per se, images. And these people are able to use lighting, flash words, different ways that they'll hypnotize you if you're not game enough to know about these things. So in the end, Napoleon lost the war, but the Rothschilds knew he would lose the war. So all the people watching the Rothschilds, they're in power during that time, he went and made a play like he was taking all of his money off Napoleon and putting it on the other side. That was just a play. He knew that once this game is played to a high level, that he would be able to take all the money. And that's what he did. So, as in the book I read, when he took all the money, he went, while the people was in chaos and in squalor, he and his family, they shot over into the Danish tribe of Dan, over into Dutchland. If I can get my life before anytime soon, if I can get it anytime soon, I'm going to go and visit these lands like Dutch. The Danish people, they don't pay nothing. They go to school. They got everything laid out for them. I want to visit there. I want to visit Switzerland. Basel, Switzerland, for some reason. Jumped out in my mind. That matter I filed there in Shelby County in 2011, federal matter. Miss Wyrick and them seized the matter and kept it. I think it's still open now. I'm waiting right now. The Most Honorable Samuel H. Mays was reassigned. So that means he had a matter prior to this one. So, man, I tell you, me and baby, we've been reeling, man. Miss Wyrick refused to take her foot off our necks. Give me 1 second. I got a shot of coffee in my oven here. Yeah, man, overall, though, I really can't complain. Life is good and fun to live. Miss Wyrick in her stalking of us, especially aggravated identity theft, cyber gang stalking over these years, over these decades, it has kept me present. Where I see a lot of my guys, they still back trapped in 84. There's nothing wrong with that if you're able to thrive in 84 and that's where you're keeping your mindset at. I ain't got nothing against you. But I'm just trying to be right here cosmopolitan, if you will. I want to be on the cutting edge of science. I don't want to be one of those who dumbfounded, from the cradle to the grave. Yeah, So the world hadn't really changed a whole lot since that time. They're saying now that we're looking toward what would be the greatest wealth exchange in the history of humanity, and that's not correct. That's false. Mansa Musa passed out a lot of gold back in the day. He was out of Mali, king out of Mali, richest man in the history of the world. Of course, the Rothschilds got a lot of jewels now. They got out of Africa through Cecil Rhodes and King Leopold and different ones of them who was extracting a lot from that region. But they had never had the type of wealth that Mansa Musa had. He changed the whole economy in just passing out the gold. The gold mines are there in Mali and other places in Africa. Not only gold, all the ores that you can think of are there in Africa. There's no ore of that nature, I don't think, in Europe. I see that they've found something over there in, what's that, Ukraine. And they thought that they was going to be able to do some stuff with that. But hey, man, that was the old USSR. So you think that Putin going to allow that to happen? No. You got some strong points now on this earth plane that you can't just trample over, and you need to be real careful when you're treading on thin ice when you're really even dealing with them. So we're in a terrible time in the world history. So I'm really getting a lot of joy when I see my guy Deion Sanders bouncing back like he doing. I think that Karuchi just make him just as happy, and she's happy too. You know, it ain't no one-way street or nothing. I had this person, I believe it was Amy Wyrick, to be honest with you, because as I looked and see what this Wanda Daniels, I think that was the name that she was going under the bot. But when I looked at her page, this person won't even show their face. Then when I went to try to comment on the bullshit statement that she made, it's put like it got to go through an administrator. And I'm the one who put the article up. So I hadn't commented on another matter. It didn't have to go through the administrator. But this is what we're talking about when we have stalkers like Amy Wyrick with those powerful iPhones and different shit she has in her possession. Her and her husband. You know, Miss Wyrick was over the gang unit. I saw where they went in there and took all them phones down there in Atoka. Come back up to Memphis. I was thinking that, now damn, this is organized crime. Go in here and take the cell phones. And that's the type of move Miss White was putting down on us. I mean, a real criminal. And I believe that's going to come out here any day now. She got the real people. Jag ain't going to let you escape them with that treachery you've been putting down. You ain't going to be able to bribe Jag. Jag going to reel your ass in, Miss White. So it's just a matter of time your ass is going. So keep up your treachery. Keep it up towards the Charles family. Brian and Tunice Charles. Robinson Charles. I'm Brian Jerome Charles, not Jerome's. That's the name that Jerome Kearney, this magistrate out of Little Rock, changed my name to hide his complicity in this crime targeting me. Had me kidnapped 8/22/2025 and gonna try to give me a rape charge. I ain't, again, my wife over here asleep, but hey man, I got too much puss on my hand. And I had to turn them down when I go out in society. I'm a handsome guy. Game tight. If I was just a degenerate, I could be screwed the whole town. But somebody got that package, I bet you. Or something else that you can't get rid of. So I don't want no parts of it. I don't want the COVID-19. I don't want none of it. So I've gotten this for without having it. Then chances are I'm going to go all the way. I'm one of those fortunate ones. But I really love what Deion is doing. Look like Shadour's he didn't earn that QB1. He went back to his old number 2. The guy who took the number, did he even touch the field last year? Show you how they be hating on the Sanders family. I ain't never been no hater. I didn't emulate my college football game after Deion because I was a shutdown corner. I kind of liked it. Elson Walls, when he was a rookie, I liked it the way he was disguising them coverages. And I think he led the league in interceptions. Elson had a mindset to whereas they didn't really he never knuckled under. Because he was a ball hawk and he knew it was all about the ball. You see, in football, either you're the quarterback handling the ball and you're going to make a shitload of money, of course. You the left tackle protecting the people and the right tackle. You protect any guard center. Any of those you can do at a high level, they're going to have to pay you a lot of money now. Because you keeping the guy up who throwing the ball. If you can catch it, like C.D. Lamb. I thought the boy for Philadelphia this last year, I thought he really contributed to a couple of their losses, sulking. I think it's Brown got all the talent in the world. But he was a little disgruntled that a lot of the balls was going to my guy who came out of Alabama with Jalen Hurts. He hadn't got his bankroll, so he was ready to go. But I don't see where you can all of a sudden, now you need another quarterback. This guy was MVP of the Super Bowl just a couple years ago. So we can go too far. We can be extremists towards our own kind. And then we'll be taking the lead of these certain sports writers or different ones who trying to taking the coercion from different ones in the organization. Whoa, that thing hot. So it looked like I'm kind of just rambling on. Overall, I really can't complain this morning. I wanted to see what went down. I saw some parts of that. I saw the Celtics. They beat. It was a blowout. My guy there at Oklahoma, they blew their team out. I saw what LeBron them won the other night. And I try to be abreast of what's happening on there, but I don't allow it to take up any of my mental space. I just glancing, I see it. And really the only reason I'm even be watching that is I've been a sportsman all my life, but I'm pulling for Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, and these guys like this. The rest of you guys, I support you, but I ain't got really nothing for you like that. Pulling for the Sanders family, of course, Deion was sick, physically sick. And I've opened my videos a lot of times. I be in gratitude for being clothed in my mind, like my mother used to say, with my health and strength. And then to see her unable to care for herself there at the end, and I was twisted, hadn't been attacked, not knowing anything about. See, this post-traumatic stress syndrome, even though the psychologists and different ones have known about this since, I'm sure, Vietnam. It's just coming down to the people of color. We just getting signs of this and just being able to get a check for this and medications and different things for this. But we've been suffering this since slavery. This so-called chattel slavery, chattel slavery that they had here in the West. And in Central America and in South America, you see? Anywhere people of color were. You see? So we've had to just, like I think old Booker T. Washington said, pull up your bootstraps and this and that. And then another question was posed, well, what if they ain't got no boots? Great many of them didn't have boots, so how they going to pull up their bootstraps? But this is the bill of goods that the people of color has been handed. You see, sometimes we hear that phrase how you've been served a lemon. So my life, per se, they served me a lemon. So I'm gonna take that lemon and make me some lemonade, though. And that's what we have to do. We have to, a lot of time, we have to take and make nothing into something. I get a thrill when I hear old Master P. I'm following Master P. Master P was laying on the floor. They showed the image recently. I was watching somewhere. Him and his old lady was laying on the floor. I had heard the story about how he turned down $1 million. But the $1 million would have been for his life. And so he didn't want to have to come back like Pooh Shiesty and try to renegotiate, if you will. Knowing full well that if I get you to sign a contract At the time, don't nobody know you. Nobody knows that you this powerful guy, singer, actor, none of that. You signed your life over for $10,000. I didn't have the gangsters there to make you sign it. You signed it because I gave you access to my high dollar production equipment. You blow up like the World Trade. You look up, you in jail because the culture now has shifted to the drill scene. Again, I was studying Chirac, street legends back in the day. My wife was like, why are you looking at that? Why you keep watching this stuff? My guy, FBG Duck was still around. Chief Keef they was flashing. Chief Keef had got out of there already though. And of course you got my guy, King Von with that. And then they had the girl, K.I. And I was studying all that. You see, I studied all that. I want to know what the hell was happening. And I got family members there in Chi-Town. I don't believe we're on too good a footing because they've been listening to a portion or extended portion of our family through Larry and Reginald's mother. And then my sister Venus has always been a hater, a criminal thief, aggravated identity thief. She'll do anything. And that thing evolved to its nationwide. I see what Cardi B sold out all the shows she had. I think she knocked up on a $70 million bankroll. I applaud Cardi B. You know, I don't knock none of the ladies what decisions they make because my mother was a lady. I like Cardi B because they were saying, oh, she's a dummy. She keep messing with the guy Diggs, and he's a millionaire. She keep messing with she know she was married to the guy and probably is still married to him. If they hadn't gotten a divorce, who was that? Offset. So I like it. They say Offset got in a jam. He got shot recently. His money's been cut off. Some kind of way he ain't getting no money from that Migos. All that catalog was sold for a great bit, for hundreds of millions of dollars. But Cardi B, she lifts up men of color. Few of them, I see them, they're marrying to money. The billionaires see them and they be in there, like Janet Jackson had a billionaire too. They were in an entanglement where he would give her $100 million for a child. Of course, she participated in that and got that money and got on about her business. Eve with the European. And I don't knock nobody, whatever you do. Have at it. I'm a studier of the culture. And I like Cardi B. Cardi B don't try to act like she's, just because she got a bankroll, she don't try to act like she forgot where she came from. She bring out Jesus. She bring out T.I. with that new hit he got that's on the top of the charts. You see. So Cardi B doing it big. I like Cardi B. I commend her. My hat is off to her. That boy T.I. hit him back hard. But I'm a game. I study the game now. Him and 50 played. They played. That was a play. That's the real play. You don't get involved in no play where somebody got to die. I don't want no parts in no play like that because I know eventually I'm going to be caught in a play of that similar nature, or somebody nearest me. So T.I. right there before the big blow up with the #1 hit for week after week after week now, T.I. and 50 came like they was at one another's throat. 50 big boy. I saw where they got Rick Ross worth 350 and 50 just worth 50 million. I thought about that thing. Again, you can't get to count those people money when they done got that big. Now I can see how, well, they say he had them wing stops and different things. At any rate, I won't get into that. I won't get into that. I'm gonna get into what I was started the video to do. This I want to look into the ego and see what I can come up with, because I'm continuing to work to expand mine. You see? The expansion of the personality. Versatile. The versatility of the personality. You see? We want to be able to relate to anybody. From the bomb to the CEO of the Fortune 500 company. I saw where Charleston White was speaking on Memphis. Did Jordan win again? He said with Jordan, when you win, it's always fun. That Jordan, there's a few of them. I had left Mike out. I look at Mike, because see, Mike, shit, he come up out the mud. Let me get into this ego. From the Latin, for, I. Hence the self conceptualized as the central core around which all psychic activities revolve. That's got to be a powerful. That's those people in AA, they are doing the ego a disservice by relegating it to edging God out. It's way more than that. I guess, and that's one of the reasons why the people can't recover there in AA in Shelby County. A great majority of them. You have people who don't use drugs and alcohol for 30 years, of course. But a lot of times they be sexual deviants and get caught up in a lot of other stuff. But again, we don't come into AA to stop being sexual deviants. We come into AA because fentanyl and mollies and crack and different shit be to seared our ass to the point where either we stop or we go crazy. So a lot of times it be out of necessity that we recover. Not by choice. Conscious choice. Least any man should boast. So this is the foundational meaning, and is neutral as regards evaluative connotations and theories of personality. One of the components in the Freudian tripartite model of the psychic apparatus, along with the id, the superego, and superego, one of the components in the Freudian tripartite model of the psychic apparatus, along with the id and superego. Id, ego, superego. The id, of course, is pertaining to the physical. The ego is pertaining to the conscious mind. And the superego, of course, is pertaining to, per se, the soul or the higher self, psyche. Me and baby was looking at something today, and she had the Bible out earlier today. I love my wife. And she said, God. She said, God, right? And before I knew it, I said, well, baby, you know, all intelligent people know it ain't no God in the sky. So that's what they told us God was. There's no God in the sky. Now, as I study mythology and different things, of course, we run into some beings who they were gods over us. With the manner in which they knew how to manipulate the atom cause rain, you name it. That's a God to a primitive entity. You see, my first God was my mother. She the one made sure I ate. She didn't look up in the sky and talk about no God. She went out and got it. So this God in the sky concept, it has destroyed a great many people. Destroyed homes, marriages, businesses, you name it. And it continues to do that. Because again, if it was, of course, we're talking about duality when we're talking about God and devil. But if it was a devil, where the devil at? Of course, we got people wicked, do what things that we would call a wicked act. You see, we're learning of these beings coming from other star systems, maybe malevolent in their interaction with the human. But there is no devil per se. These are concepts given man to enslave him. So never was I able to go into a judicial setting and tell the judge how you should let me go on home now because you know the devil did this and made me do this. That wasn't even a viable response in those settings. But we'll come out of those settings, the settings where we're so humble, like little lambs before the judges. So that'd be a God over us. He decides whether we live or die sometimes. So that's a God in our society, the judge. I'm going to say this much and then I'm going to try to deviate from that concept because I don't want to rub nobody the wrong way. Since I've learned of this ego and continue to learn of it, that's where my focus is. I realize the onus is on me. Notice it said I reflect on the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I got to give credit to David C. and Benny H. and Leon H. and these type of guys and Jock T. and Donnie C. and people like that who put that book in front of me and basically was telling me that book there can solve all your problems. But I referenced Bill's story. And I see there in Bill's story when he was really going through the drinking aspect of the alcoholism, all you saw was I. David C. had me to highlight the eyes. And man, I hadn't ran into so many of them. And then once he got sober, the eyes kind of went away. It was more we and us. You see? The fellowship had taken over the psyche, the ego. You see? So let me get back into this reading. In the classical theory of ego, in the classical theory, the ego represents a cluster of cognitive and perceptual processes, including memory, problem solving, reality testing, inference making, and self-regulated striving that are conscious and in touch with reality, as well as specific defense mechanisms that serve to mediate between the primitive instinctual demands of the id, the intellectual, social, parental inhibitions and prohibitions of the superego, and the knowledge of reality. In this conceptualization, the ego serves as an executive who functions adaptively to maintain psychic balance. Well, of course, with that piece right there, I could speak for hours. But that was a powerful explanation. That was a powerful definition just a portion of a definition, because that ego goes, I'm still on this right here. I'm right here on the bottom of this page, but this ego goes all the way over to egotistic, egotization, ego trip. That's the last egoic word in this dictionary that I access. But you got ego structure, ego libido, egomania, ego neurosis, ego object polarity, egopathy, ego psychology, ego resilience, ego resistance, ego strength, ego structure, ego syntonic homosexuality, ego threat, egotic, egotism implicit, egotistic, and it goes on and on and on. But this ego is a vital thing. The undeveloped ego is taught to me by the most honorable Emile Coué of France. He talked about that undeveloped ego and how it is easily led astray. You can easily pop game on people whose ego is not developed. Like, for instance, he gave this example. These 3 doctors in the study of the autosuggestion, these 3 doctors saw this guy coming across the street. Just a common man. Hadn't looked over into psychology. Again, psychology was the last science handed to the American scientific community. Well, they knew of suggestion, both good and bad. You may can call these some wicked doctors. At any rate, they suggested to the guy that he wasn't looking too well. This guy was perfectly healthy. But they suggested to him that he was looking kind of ill. Well, that guy went home, and 3 days later he passed, transition over. Was nothing wrong with him. He just accepted the suggestion that he was ill. And he used his own ego to destroy himself. The undeveloped ego. You see? So a lot of times my guys over in North Memphis, you guys know I recovered from crack cocaine addiction. So I would be sitting in them crack houses doing crack, and all the time I'm having these kind of thoughts to go through my head because I ain't never been nobody's dummy. And I think the Most High, my soul, if you will, has been talking with me on these types of issues, but before I was even conscious enough to realize what it was trying to share with me. But it knew that it would be a day that it would all come to the forefront. A lot of times this be background stuff as we evolving as souls here in this 3rd dimension. But if we're fortunate enough to get up to middle age, I think middle age starts at about 50, don't it? I'm not sure. I'm middle aged at 58 right now, sitting here now. I can play softball if that's what I want to do. If I want to go and play football, I can do it. I would have to get in shape, of course. Miss Wire blocked me from being able to coach. My guy Jeff Taylor and old Michael Clear and them had some, when Michael Clear's son was over there at Central High School, somehow I ended up over there at Central. With Big Jed and them. They were over there. They played Whitehaven right there at Crump Stadium. We were there in the press box. Whitehaven had some linebackers then. I know them guys maybe should have went on and played in the National Football League. I hadn't been following Whitehaven. Again, our city of Memphis there, it was separated, divided, and that is part of the way that the small group of European and Jewish people can totally dominate it. Because they got the people out in South Memphis, the Negroes, they hate the Negroes in North Memphis, Hollywood, Hyde Park, the Bay, all these things. You get caught out there, they're going to gun you down if Safe Streets Task Force ain't everywhere. And that's a travesty. Some of these people be our family members. Once I hear them, I can't bring them back once I find out, oh, that's your cousin from such and such. Can't bring them back to life now. But I gunned him down because he had on a different color than I wear. He screwed this girl that I wanted to screw. And she won't look my way, but they tell me she down there getting him head and everything. So I'm going to kill this nigga. My ego ain't developed, so I don't reason things I can't reason right now. My reasoning is limited to, I'm going to go have sex. I'm going to go shoot this nigga. I'm going to go re-up. As far as my psyche go. As far as having some empathy for a man, woman, boy, girl, I have none of that. That takes development. You see? Back in the day, the saying was, if you didn't have a wicked left hook or a jump shot, then you was left to suffer in the inner cities. In a lot of places, that model still stands. So I'm just one of those who made it out. And I can't say I made it out because I was so keener than the ones who didn't make it out. It was this unseen force, this power that has always protected and guided me. Stopped that death angel's hand a number of times. I used to think if I would leave Memphis and go to Atlanta and smoke crack, go down there into Techwood and get my rocks, that the death angel that was stalking me in Memphis is going to leave me. I'm going to be able to go and smoke my crack and go to the Atlanta Union Mission and lay down and go back into treatment and get out and cuss the people out. And I just think I could do anything. Until I went to looking and seeing that same death angel in Atlanta that I had seen, thought I had left in Memphis. I'm going to go to Nashville. I saw the same death angel stalking me. So it won. The death angel is all around. I continue to see Miss Wiry's slow connection. She's a diabolical malfeasance, and I tell you, when they put them cuffs on Miss Wiry, again, you all need to place her and her husband in those rooms where they strip them naked. You got to keep them in the glass where you can watch them all the time, because they bear watching. They done played to the highest levels of society. The sitting district attorney of Shelby County into all type of treachery. You got to study that. You see, got bodies on her hand. Any kind of chemical that needs to be pushed, she would push it if there was enough money involved in it. Back in the day, we had a sheriff named Jack Owens down in Shelby County. Word went out that he committed suicide right there at Hollywood and James Road. Some words came back though that they walked up to him and gunned him down. This guy that's back in the day when Hearst Village was a multi-million-dollar crack track. They said that Jack would have his boys to circle the area where he knew all the dope and the crack rocks, the keys, everything. And he would be raiding all these places at one time. Narcotics, sheriff running everywhere, making them lay down, whooping motherfuckers, the whole 9 yards. He come through there and take him 30 or 40 keys, 20 or 30 garbage bags full of rocks, put all that shit in a van or something, let all y'all go. Get your ass away from here. You see him walking down through that Memphis in May, he got them goons with him. He got one of them things on him, and they got them things on them. And back then, there wasn't no open carry. He was on the open carry. And this has just been some of the characters that have dominated Memphis politics. Of course, he was the sheriff. From what I learned in my study of the hierarchy in the different states, the sheriff is one of the most powerful entities in the whole region. But I can't see how the sheriff would be more powerful than the prosecutor. So during all this time where I'm discussing all this, the district attorney was Bill Gibbons, the one who handed the ball off to Amy Wyrick. These people got involved with a lot of treachery. These people are racist from the core. And this is where I hail from. So I understand Charleston White. I understand LeBron James. I worked in that same hotel. They threatened my life, the reason I wasn't in there working no more. Miss Wyrick and Hugh Sawyer had a boy to come out of Florida like he was the head chef. All the time he's working to, they got my identity already. I was working for B.B. King's, and when I went around the corner there. What interests me is they said Penny was the owner. Penny's Nitty Gritty would be the name of this place I was working in. So I was looking to see Penny come in there. So I'm in there kicking ass a mile a minute. I'm working around at the B.B. King's, cutting my hours down to none because Miss Wyrick seized control of my identity. When I first started off, I gave my information, went through the process, onboarding tasks. Then I look up 3-4 weeks after I done got 3-4 checks, and I get a phone call from Yolanda, the kitchen manager, telling me I need to give her my social security number because if I didn't, then I wouldn't get my next check all the time as Amy Wyrick and her on the phone. I look up, they probably started me off working from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and I'm right there on Beale Street in Memphis, Tennessee. And this has been my experience, but I can't seem to get any aid and assistance from any of my guys, for the most part. Because these very entities who I'm naming dominated Memphis politics for over 5 decades. When they transition over, like this guy Daly and different ones of them, they hand the ball to Chris Kraft. Axley and them, they hand the ball to Amy Wyrick. Bill Gibbons hand the ball to Amy Wyrick. And that has been the pattern. We pray that this gentleman, Mr. Steve, the most honorable Steve Mulroy, has shattered that model of oppression, vicious bigotry, and racism. So he catching flack. We're having a Republican. Tennessee is a red state. Politics, sometimes they'll go awry. I reference my brother and my mother, how my mother would tell us when I was young. So she didn't raise me to be a nepotist or a cronyist. She would tell Marcus and Tony, say, hey, look here. We were about to go outside. We didn't eat, and we was growing bored, so we would like to play and stuff. So we were going outside to get involved in some type of activity. Wasn't nothing but an old basketball court, one of them milk carts up on a wooden thing or some of that nature. Wasn't no lot of money over there in South Memphis or North Memphis when I was growing up as a kid. She was telling us, now, look here. When y'all go out here, don't y'all, if Brian starts something with somebody, don't y'all jump in it. Said, but don't you let him hurt him now. So I knew if I started a fight, I better be able to carry it on out because I wasn't going to get no help, and these my brothers. So that limited my starting of fights because as a young person, I realized I could lose this fight. I wasn't never no damn fool as a child. I've had numerous fights. I didn't win them all. It's impossible to win them all, not unless it's rigged. So look like the development of this ego is man's sole purpose on the earth plane. So I'm not where I want to be tonight, even in regards to that. But I'm thankful to the Most High God, to my higher self, to my soul, that I'm not where I used to be. Stuck. Needing my soul to deliver me from the traps that they have set as I go up these dangerous ass streets of North Memphis or South Memphis. So I'm grateful tonight. Feeling pretty good. I rested for hours. Now I was earlier this year. It's amazing that this guy Yama. He's a phenom. He's a unicorn. And they said my guy, what's his name, just gave him a pep talk and gave him some insight. What's my guy name who was with Tim Duncan and my guy David Robinson and him all those years? He went down, Popovich. But my guy, what's his name, said that when you're talking about championship this year, he looking for it to be San Antonio and my guy was Charlotte, right? And he really said, I think my guy said that he looked for the women y'all to pull it off. If shot them, I don't believe they'll be able to get out on shot them though. Shot them, they tough boy. Then shot them got the 7-footer who came in the league with this boy came when he came in. But he getting really more confident and ain't really a whole lot he can't do with the basketball. Wembanyama. Boston looking good. Boston looking good. Who was that I was watching shooting that thing today? I won't get into that. Matter of fact, I'm going to get ready to close the video. Turn off some of these lights. Baby over here laying down sleep. She been up. I slept for 5 or 6 hours. After I came in from hitting that golf ball and was able to successfully go into the audit. Seen some funny behaviors going on, but overall it was way pleasanter than it had been being, where the Johnny, the bald-headed one, and the manager, them, they working the jelly with their white earpiece. Miss Wire got on the property and motherfuckers showing up behind me with their cell phone. I can't get out from front of the casual motherfucker right up on me. So I didn't have to experience that today. I saw a few funny bunny moves, but I chalk them up as just irregularities in the matrix. So it's Monday now. Monday morning. I'm going to try not to be up too late because we're going to have to go and get it in tomorrow because we laid in today. I said, we ain't going out there today. We had $12. I took the 10 and bought some waters. We needed water, some bread, and some coffee creamer. And that was $9.18, I think. So we down to $2 in our weekly rent. Of course, we got to pay the rent. I don't want no problems out of these people, even though we've established residency. Miss Wire has greater control over these people than we do. Has a greater working relationship with these people than we do. These people are tethered to those Indian people in 1922 Elvis Presley Boulevard who treated us like shit. We was there for 2 years. We had been in the Irish Motel for several months. As I was going to work the Federal Express prior to moving over to that hotel next to the Iris, I looked up the owner. He come up on me. He said, where you work at? Somehow they had me set up where I was getting Ubers. But they had set it up using my identity. And this account I'm telling y'all about this got millions in it. They just raping the account. Amy Wire and her people. So I said, I work for Federal Express. Man, I looked up, they had to flip the game on me there. Federal Express wanted me badly. They had never seen nothing like me out there. I worked in the Matrix. They had when you come in through your orientation through the temp services, you have to sit in, going through your orientation, it's this black lady and a black man. And they're in this room and they're giving you the do's and the don'ts. That same black lady used to be around where we were working in the Matrix. She was coming. I guess this Matrix is a powerful aspect of Federal Express. So they got this side over here where a great many of the workers are permanent workers. In the side of the line that I was on, all of us for the most part were temps through the various agencies. So as I came in, I'm a sharp guy. I'm always trying to get in the most vital areas to make myself the most needed part of this system. Of course, we see where Amazon is starting to use robots. So I peeped this crucial area where if it clogs up right here, it's going to shut the whole thing down. If the person right here, the people right here, if they're not sharp, this matter is going to be a long, drawn out process, and we'll be in this place long after the shift is over. So these people end up may mess themselves up with their triflingness. So they would have 2 or 3 people working this one spot. So when I saw that these people had gotten themselves messed up, I went and sat right there in that spot that I knew was the most powerful spot there in the matrix. So they did everything in their power to test to see that I had what it takes. So when they saw I had what it took, I look up that same lady who came in on the orientation would be over there getting on their backside over there, the permanent worker, because she was letting them know, do you see this guy right here? Do you see how he moving? That's what I need y'all to be doing. So I have this mind, and I see when we look up and we see guys like Michael Jordan and Deion Sanders and them making those Magic Johnson and these guys making these Wembanyama, that guy Shea down there in down in Oklahoma. Do you realize in order for those people to make those kind of moves with their physical body, that their minds got to be to move 1,000 times faster than that? You see? So they wanted me badly there in the Matrix. I used to work overtime, and I would be out somewhere. Might pull up a whole pallet. We'd be kind of outside, and they pull up a whole pallet, and it's supposed to be a couple of y'all working the pallets. Where I had this Negro I told you in the past on the video, Miss Wiley sent a Negro up on me and said, man, I know where you can get a kilo of heroin. It's over here, such and such. I got as far as that Negro was from the east hills to the west. So I looked up, I got on the thing by myself because I was tired of Miss Wiley sending people up on me. So I get on one of the floats by myself and empty the whole float by myself. And I look up the people standing with the thing, just like in 1989, my last college football game, homecoming of 1989 at Lane College. We played the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. My last play, I looked behind me. Robert Marshall they play action faked on me. Coach Cooler had lured me to sleep. I had went through looking in the backfield because Ira Lee Brown, he was 240, 4'3", 40-some inch vertical leap. And he hadn't been running that ball downhill, man. So I was playing at 189. I was shut down corner. Like I hear him describe Deion would get in behind. He wouldn't even get in the huddle because he knew what his job was. Just saying that was who I was. So I'm looking in the backfield. So by the time I caught back up, I seen Jerry Rice beat Deion on the same kind of little move for 6. But it was a shorter pass. But that boy Rice, he didn't run no 4'3", 4'2", but he could beat you, man. That motherfucker had that football speed. That ball went up, he'd go get that ball. So they scored a touchdown on me. In my whole college career, you making count on one hand how many touchdowns I gave up. I don't believe I gave up but one. No, I take that back. I was in a zone defense. Coach Bullet had me in a zone defense down in Miles College. I was in cover 2. I was supposed to funnel the receiver to the middle of the field and had the flat in that area behind me. But again, they were down on about the 10-yard line. So I done got caught up in the E-walls in the bump and run. So I bumped and run with the receiver out wide and funnel him in, but I didn't respect my responsibility on the cover 2. And that's where the ball went to a running back on a swing out the backfield for a touchdown. So there was 2 touchdowns that I gave up, and I played in college football altogether. I played at Knoxville College in 86. I played by 6 or 7 games. I didn't give up a touchdown. Started. I went from there, I went to Lane College in 88. I played by 6 or 7 games, 6 games. I never gave up a touchdown. 88. I gave up that one in 89 to Robert Marshall. And again, they hadn't ran that ball down our throat all that day. But the pro scouts was there looking for me. And that's when my family and Coach Triplett, they would go out their way to throw a wrench in the game for me. Guys like Daryl Hard, he went pro from Lane College. Early on, one of my heroes, come to find out he was a chicken shit dumbass. Only reason he was able to be successful is he was a world-class sprinter. But a sexual deviant just like his mama in different ones. And I don't put his mama down because she's fed me. During a crucial time when my mother had passed on me, I would lay on Daryl Hard's mama's porch. I noticed they hadn't locked the door where I couldn't lay on that porch. If I had been sprung, I would have ended up dead. Because they were stalking me a lot of time when I would jump on that porch and lay down and go to sleep. Niggas weren't that bold back then to walk up on the porch and go to trying to shoot you. But now they will. They're in Shelby County. Just like Charleston White said. We got a terrible breed of human being there in Shelby County. They made them that way. Talking about the dirty South. That's the dirty South, my hometown, Memphis, Tennessee. That's the reason I'm not there. People like me with real talent, they don't want the people to see us. Because a lot of times those who are in real power or having any semblance of power, they've compromised themselves in some way. I don't know how to compromise. Either you're going to be genuine and straight across with me, or I'm going to get the hell away around you. I'm not going to be nobody's sucker boy, nobody's duck boy, or none of that. Never learned that part of the game. So I'm going to get out of here, man. I can ramble on and on and on and on. I'm just grateful to have this platform. I'm going to get this video up, if it be the will of God, and get it to my few different ones. And I'm pulling for the Sanders family. I'm looking for the Colorado Buffalo football team to bounce back. They got a big $6 million adage to their coffers where Dion can go and pay some of these young fellas. Show up with a bankroll, hand them $1 million if they can show up, like that scoreboard up, or stop somebody from getting to the quarterback, or stop somebody from lighting the scoreboard up against you. Got to reach them 7 figures. So I'm out of here. I can ramble on, man. Just for today, family. You guys have a wonderful day on today. Oh, let me do the daily reflection since we have gone on over into another day. I don't know what today is. What is today? The 20th? Baby, what's today's date? The 20th?
It was the 17th, so we into the next day.
Oh, it was the 17th yesterday? Okay, it's the 18th then. Self-honesty. The deception of others is nearly always rooted in the deception of ourselves. When we are honest with another person, it confirms that we have been honest with ourselves and with God. As Bill sees it, page 17. 4th month. Step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Of course, when we're talking about morality, we're talking about honesty, deceitfulness, these types of things. To see how it disturbed our ability to function as a normal human being in society. Caused us to check out of society and go over into chemicals. This society stuff is just too much for me right now. I'm not willing to be honest about everything. I'm going to keep some of it. I'm going to hold it back. I don't want you to know that I hit the crack in the house full of feces. I've been to 5 colleges. I don't want you to know about that. I'm going to have to keep that to my vest. And that be the very thing that drive me back into those same types of settings or worse. So my life was an open book. So what I did some crack. I didn't molest any children. I didn't stalk them. I didn't traffic them. You see? So I'm not the worst that God made. When I was drinking, I deceived myself by reality. No. When I was drinking, I deceived myself about reality, rewriting it to what I wanted it to be. Deceiving others is a character defect. Even if it is just stretching the truth a bit or cleaning up my motives so others would think well of me. I told you when I first hit North Memphis, I switched it around on them just a little. I told them I had just came from Florida eating oranges out the tree. But the reality was I had been a elementary student there at Florida Elementary on South Memphis on Florida Street. I had grew up in abject poverty at 156 East Essex with the hole in the floor sometime. Shotgun house. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth if there was a spoon in the house sometime. So I was walking around with a great deal of guilt and shame. And I was being deceitful as a 10-year-old before the drugs. Like they said that the alcoholism and the mollies and the fentanyl are just a symptom of the problem. The problem oftentimes is self-hate and fear. My higher power can remove this character defect, but first I have to help myself become willing to receive that help by not practicing deception, one day at a time. I didn't deceive anybody yesterday. Don't foresee having to deceive anybody today. So just little increments like that, it's enough to get us back on the road to happy destiny, if you will. I need to remember each day that deceiving myself about myself is setting myself up for failure or disappointment in life and in Alcoholics Anonymous. A close, honest relationship with the higher power is the only solid foundation I've found for honesty with self and with others. Again, my higher power, I've chosen to be my own soul. Now, has my own soul stood before me and said, hey, man, I'm your soul. I'm going to do this for you, this, if you do this. No. This is why the psyche is such a powerful thing. And this is why the psyche controls all aspects of our lives, our souls. So, with that being brought to my conscious mind, that gives me the impetus, if you will, to pursue a working knowledge with my soul. So I don't spend a lot of time looking in the sky about this God and under the ground for this devil and, looking to Pope John Paul or somebody, Pope Leo, to help me with this day-to-day grind of being whole. I have to trust my soul and learn of it one day at a time, 1 second at a time sometimes. So I can ramble on, man. You guys have a wonderful day on today. I'm going to be laboring to do the same, family. Peace. When she removes her slow connection, I'll close the video out. Peace, family.